It's time to talk about democracy. When it comes to buying brand new video games, I don't just dip my toe in the pool. When it's time and I'm gonna spend, and I know I have the time set aside to play that game, it's a full submerging in those waters, a hard commitment, if you will. Right now, I'm a very happy taken man. I got Tekken 8 on my plate. I got Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which we just put up our review/impressions over on Retro Rebound if you want to check those out. And also, I'm going back to P3 Reload. So, I'm a very happy taken man. I don't need to have my eyes avert anywhere else, but this Helldivers 2 is catching my attention because of the zeitgeist surrounding it. Not for what I imagine most people will assume when I'm making a video like this, the engagement, the clicks. It's literally because, as someone who enjoyed the first Helldivers, the zeitgeist around this game is very surprising, because I enjoyed the first Helldivers as this sort of, I would say, niche top-down shooter that had a really great co-op component to it, and it was very hardcore where everyone's lives are on the line. It also had this mixture of dark comedy inside it all. So with Helldivers 2 and its announcement, I remember we talked about it at one point or another here on this channel. I was a little bit skeptical because they had brought the camera down over the shoulder, and I wasn't sure if this was to meet the traditional PlayStation exclusive mold or if this is a part of the design. What do you lose in translation there? Does it step away from that more arcadey feel? But after playing it for a couple hours, this isn't like a full review, it's just like, hey, dip my toe in the waters, how is this thing? The spirit is still there. This game is really good. I can see why it's doing so well, because it's so much of what I loved about the first Helldivers, honestly, and then some. So we're going to talk about that here today. I actually managed to get into the game right away. I didn't have any server issues like I've been seeing online, although the CEO of Arrowhead has said that people should hold off on buying the game until the servers are fixed, which led to a lot of people buying the game because they thought that was really cool of a CEO to say. But nonetheless, I had to check it out at some point this month, so I found a little bit of a window after the embargo had lifted for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth to say, okay, let's go ahead, check this out for a few hours, see what's going on here. So these are my thoughts. I'm looking forward to seeing yours down below. First off, tone of the game. Love it. It's like if Liberty Prime was the messaging system for all of the video game, right? For my Fallout fans, you know what I'm talking about. Just this push towards democracy constantly. So the general premise is that giant bugs and robots have pushed back humanity to the brink, and now we're fighting to liberate these planets that people once inhabited, and they are infested with those robots and bugs, and so we have to keep battling them back. And so you're gonna go through a really funny tutorial. After you go through the tutorial, you get on the ship, you get access to the galaxy map. Like, it gets you into the game really quick. The tutorial is enjoyable enough where it doesn't make you feel antsy, like you just want to get into it. And what I love about the galaxy map, this reminds me so much of Galactic Conquest. Like, for my Battlefront 2 fans, OG Battlefront 2s, OG Battlefront 1. Shout out to the Battlefront Classic Collection coming out soon. I cannot wait for that. So Galactic Conquest just may be on the brain right now, but it reminds me so much of that. You open up the galaxy map, you have all these different sectors, and it has that shared world feel that reminded me a bit of Mass Effect 3, where as everyone's playing more and more of this multiplayer mode, we're liberating parts of the galaxy. And so here in Helldivers 2, you're actually seeing in real time the percentage of liberation go up or down, pushing people to select missions in certain areas as more and more sectors surrounding Earth are freed. And so some are, as I mentioned, inhabited by robots, some are inhabited by bugs. And this game's tough. It's still tough as hell, just like it was with the original, where the first mission I did, it was just with another individual online. I've been just doing random quick play because none of my buddies have this game, so I've just been playing by myself. But we hop into this mission. It is raining in the forest. I'm thinking like Duxon and KOTOR 2. Like, this is what I love about sci-fi style games, like the mystery of the planet, right? So it's raining, it's foggy, and there are these creepy ass robots crawling towards us. At first, it's pretty doable. It was a little bit of just throwing you into the fire and having you figure things out. So you have enemies running at you. You're trying to figure out how to save these scientists. It wasn't until the tail end of the mission that I finally wrapped my head around it. But as you get ready to extract, you go, okay, learning lesson, time to get out of here, right? Oh my gosh, they send so many enemies your way from every single angle. It is such a struggle to survive. And so my first mission was an absolute train wreck, but the best thing about it was I still had fun. And so naturally my reflection was, Why? Why did I have fun despite them not really walking me through anything, it ending up in flames? I didn't accomplish anything. I spent like 30 minutes in this mission. I got nothing out of it. XP, currency, nothing, nada. Why did I still have fun? I think number one is the tone and the art direction that really appealed to me instantly. Whatever planet I was on throughout the rest of my experience, there was this strong art direction. Even down to moments where we were blowing up bases and the way the explosion worked with everything in the backdrop. It's a beautiful looking game in this really simplistic way. Like, as someone playing Tekken 8 right now, that's probably one of the, if not the best looking game I've ever played. But then you look at something like this and it just shows that it has that level of fidelity, but there's an artistic direction there, and how like the lighting is done, how the weather is done, where it really adds to the world. So that was step one. Step two was the fine tuning in the mechanics. So things like when you're aiming and shooting, it's not just a third person shooter like say Outriders where you're just running around, complete locomotion. This is one of those games where you have a lot of enemies coming at you, and for you to have the most accurate shot, you should probably stop moving, because you have this line of a reticle when you aim it, and the circle moving around it is where your bullets are going to go. And so sometimes you're going to have to spray and pray, but a lot of times you're going to need to steady down, focus, and hit your shots. And as someone who developed chronic reload syndrome thanks to Call of Duty, where I'll shoot like 3 bullets in the game and reload my gun just because I want the full clip, MW2 completely ruined me. I swear, I just cannot play first-person shooters without it. I had to unlearn that playing Helldivers 2, because let's say I've used half a mag. I'm like, yeah, all right, let's reload real quick. Yeah, no, you throw out that whole half of a mag, so you kind of don't want to reload. You want to make every bullet count. Little things like that, I think, go a long way. Other things, getting rid of clutter in the HUD, the way they use the touchpad, with the bringing up of the map, but also the navigating of it and pinning it. It just works really well. The stratagem system still functions a lot like cheat codes, which I think is really cool. You press L1 and then a bunch of directional inputs, and it'll do things like you'll call in a resupply, you'll call in a machine gun, you'll call in an orbital cannon. You'll see them actually fire out of the ship, which you can name at the start of the game. Mine was called the Founding Father of Family Values, because I thought that was hilarious. But nonetheless, this is really the spirit of Helldivers 2, this very arcadey nature with great art direction and high difficulty and friendly fire. There are times that you can call in a pod and it'll drop on people. You'll call in an extraction, as I'm sure you've seen on Twitter or Instagram or wherever you go on for social media. You've probably seen someone get smushed by an extraction ship at the final dying moments of a mission. There is just so much here that is naturally funny. And I feel like that's where the shift in camera perspective really helps this game out, because it's there, you get closer to the action, you get closer to the characters, you get to see these wild things happening instead of from the top-down distance perspective. You're right there in the thick of it, and it brings it to a whole new level. So I gotta say, it was a great call by Arrowhead to shift the camera down. That was something that I anticipated incorrectly how that would go and why they did it. But also, what I want to say is that you're always thinking about the game. I've stepped away from the game, went to go play a couple other things, and I'm thinking, you know, I could go for a little Helldiving right now. That's always the good sign, the intangible sign that something is really enjoyable. So these are a few things that I had walking away from it where I went, all right, I see why this is special. So what else have they done here? So you get a mothership at the start of a game. Like I mentioned, you can name this mothership. You eventually start completing more missions. They tell you about what I'll say is a double battle pass. You have a free version and you have a premium version. I have to say, kudos to PlayStation. They've done a really good job incorporating live service into their exclusive titles. I look at like Ghost of Tsushima and the way they did multiplayer and how that was just good, traditional, almost 360 PS3 era multiplayer. It was awesome that it was just free. It just showed up out of nowhere. It was free. It was a ton of fun. Same thing here, where I feel right now the microtransactions aren't bad. The rewards are good. Some of these microtransactions are going to give you gameplay bonuses. I don't think they're that bad. You're seeing a gradual pushback more and more across these developers of people want live service games, they want multiplayer games, and there is a cost to keep the servers up and running, which the running part has a little bit of an asterisk next to it for Helldivers 2. The game, as Arrowhead has admitted, is far bigger than they ever anticipated in the terms of success, so they've had to really expedite increasing the server capacity over there. That's going to cost them money. So there's been a lot of pushback I saw with the Tekken store released for Tekken 8. Harada had to step in and say, this is necessary for the economic state of the industry. So I'm trying to adjust a little bit with my view on microtransactions as, okay, if they're necessary, how are you handling them? And I think for a PvE game here, they've been handled responsibly, and I never felt like the edge was so dramatic and so apparent that I needed to do anything with it, which is how it should be since I've already paid $40 to get into the game, which is the other thing I really like about it. Not a full price game, but you're going to get more fun out of it than most other full price games. I'm going off track though. I mentioned how you get on this ship, you can customize your armory, you can unlock new weapons here, you can equip them here. You're also going to unlock new stratagems, and there are so many. There are upgrades that you can spend them on. So for example, you can get passive bonuses like, oh, the stratagem for resupplying charges 10% faster, which those seconds really count when you're playing Helldivers, because you are going to be staring down that clock, especially during the extraction. Like I mentioned, you're going to be getting new stratagems as well. And when you're working in co-op, I can see someone who I'd never strategized with friends. Again, my friends didn't pick this one up, but I saw the vision here, how like I could have like Eagle Strike, I could have these air strikes, someone could have effectively an EMP, and we can sort of cooperate together and figure out how we're going to approach these missions, who's going to be more destructive, who's going to be more support-like. And so everyone's stratagems work together in tandem, and I think that is a really cool component of the game, which makes me very excited to play with a couple of friends when they do eventually pick the game up. So dropping into these missions, not only is it just about kind of like a horde mode, but there are always new objectives that are going to be on the map, from destroying bases to collecting data. The mission variety is there. The mission objectives themselves aren't going to blow your socks off. It's really about the constant dynamic moments this game is going to provide, one beat after the next, where it's just always like a new enemy showing up where you didn't expect them, the frenetic action that's pulling your attention. It's a type of multiplayer game that I think is going to even bring in single player game fans. I mean, you're looking at one right here, but I know part of it's my job to check out the biggest things happening in gaming. So yeah, it's charming, it's funny, it's fine-tuned. Gameplay feels really good. The weapons are really punchy. I mean, especially shooting weak spots and seeing like the hit marker appear and it turns red. That just feels really great. Seeing the little kill marker on the bottom pile up. Like when I called in an airstrike at one point, I mean, the thing that this game does so well is it sets up these moments that truly feel like ripped out of like a Call of Duty campaign, and they just happen organically. So this one moment where I got like 9 kills with an airstrike, we're calling in for an extraction. I'm standing up on this hill, looking out into the distance. There's debris, explosions, fire everywhere. And there's this army of like Terminator looking robots just marching toward me, the automatons. And it was that moment of like, oh snap, like I gotta move. And the idea that it was just happening in real time, like that wasn't just placed there as a part of a big mission. It wasn't a cutscene. Like this was gameplay. That is probably the most impressive thing about this game, just the authentic holy shit moments that it provides you through just natural gameplay, where I looked at the clock, I saw we had 2 minutes, and I saw a massive army marching my way. I was thinking, okay, we got to call in the airstrikes, but that's going to put it on a timer. Am I doing it too soon? It's all of that moment-to-moment decision-making that I think has Helldivers to where it is. So yeah, I've been enjoying it quite a bit. I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts down below. Let me know what you're thinking of Helldivers 2. With that, take excellent care of yourselves, and I'll catch you in the next video. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.